Welcome to Straight from the Source with Hayley Watts, and joining me today is Battalion Chief John Gaddie with CAL FIRE Butte County. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're here today on, just by pure coincidence, the one-year anniversary of the Park Fire. And gosh, for you, looking back a year ago today, I mean, what was really, it broke out in the afternoon. It was in the city of Chico, but that is a Butte County CAL FIRE response, right?
Well, in conjunction with the city of Chico.
Yeah.
City of Chico initially dispatched it as their emergency.
Right.
We followed in because we do have these agreements with the city of Chico, mutual threat zone, and so we do send them help. And so once it left the park, yes, it became ours, but it originated in the city of Chico.
But your home is kind of, I mean, I've never been to your house, but you live in, I know you live in Chico, right? And I mean, what was going through your mind that day as just a person who lives in Chico with a fire burning nearby?
Right, so I was in Sacramento on some business. You know, I'm part of the labor organization for CAL FIRE Local 2881. So I was at an executive board meeting in Sacramento, and, you know, there's all firefighters there, which is kind of very interesting. And so we all get these alerts. I got an alert saying there's a fire in Chico, and so we pulled it up on the cameras right away, the Alert California cameras, and I was looking at it and kept looking at it a little bit, and we kind of broke for the day because that was about 3:30 and we broke about 4 o'clock, and, you know, talking with some other people, what do you think, what do you think? So I went back to my hotel room and I kept watching it while I changed, and I went, you know what? I got to head home.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I called my daughter because my wife was sleeping because she works graveyards at Enloe. And I asked my daughter, hey, will you go outside and tell me if you see smoke? And she says, I see smoke, Dad. And I said, which way is it going? She goes, it's going, you know, away from the house. I said, perfect. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
But I made the decision at that point to go home. Probably a good decision because I watched the fire, I listened to the radio. The fire obviously was growing. Made it home. Neighbors were in my front yard. I was somewhat convinced that it was moving away from the house, so I felt kind of good about that at that time.
Right. But this fire behaved in a kind of a strange way, right? I think that fire behavior in general is so bizarre, and I know there's absolutely a science to it.
Right.
And so many little factors can influence things. But I was speaking to a family who lives on Sycamore Valley Road yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And they, yeah.
Because that's where I live.
The Fell family.
Oh, okay. Copy.
Yeah, and so they were, and John Fell, who is also a firefighter.
Correct.
And he kind of had the same idea of like, oh, it's not headed to our house.
Yeah.
It's heading north and not going to come. And then he said something happened where all of a sudden, I think the verbiage he used was the column collapsed.
Yes.
And it just pushed the fire sort of back towards that neighborhood.
Right, and that's ironic because I was in conversations with him, and he was out of the area on a fire assignment. He still does fire assignments, even though he's retired. He does fire assignments for the feds, and me and him were in agreement with that, and kind of said that to the neighbors, is that traditionally we don't get those down canyon winds like Jarbo Gap, where at about 2:30 in the morning the winds roar downhill.
Yeah.
So we were fairly confident that the fire was going to, unfortunately, keep moving towards the community of Cohasset and then keep moving northeast direction.
Yeah.
But things changed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, you've been a firefighter for how many years now? Your whole life? Adult life?
I'm about 29 years right now.
Is there anything, are there any fires that stick out in your mind that just really stunned or shocked you?
Well, obviously the campfire.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down.
It's funny that you say that one stunned or shocked you, because before the campfire happened, I remember as a reporter, I had met you, you were functioning as a PIO, and you were telling me about the campfire before it happened. Like that you had this, like you knew.
Well, you know, when I came to Chico and went to the Butte Fire Academy, you know, we were taught, a lot of our instructors were, at the time, CDF, battalion chiefs and captains, and Jim Brashears, who used to be the Town of Paradise fire chief. So people who have been in this area, know fire behavior, who were teaching us, but at the same time, they kept talking about the Town of Paradise. especially Chief Brochet's. You know, the town of Paradise is surrounded by, you know, wildland vegetation that, you know, eventually, you know, eventually, but unfortunately, a fire is probably going to impact that community. And it did back in 2008, Humboldt fire and little fires here and there, but it never did what it did during the Camp Fire. So we were always taught, and a lot of my counterparts were kind of beat into our head that, yes, eventually, unfortunately again, but eventually the town of Paradise is going to be impacted by a fire.
But you didn't know where it was coming, where it would come from, or
Right.
that it would move so fast
Right.
from Polga like that in such a short amount of time.
Oh, it blew my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, I was at the incident command post with Chief Messina at that time, and you know, we had him and I have been in Butte a long time, so we saw the Poe fire, the Concow fire. We've seen fires in Jarbo Gap, and I tell the story that traditionally, whether it started near Polga or in Concow, or the Poe fire started on the south side of Highway 70, they traditionally move towards the west, and then they shift to the south through the west branch of the Feather River. And so we were kind of expecting that, like, okay, the fire's going to come out, it's going to impact the community of Concow, but it traditionally makes a turn.
Right.
And then we heard probably an hour and a half into it, spot fires across the drainage there at the west branch of the Feather River, right below Paradise. And I remember looking at them going, did we hear that correctly, that they're spot fires?
Yeah.
And that was a game changer right there.
Yeah. I saw you down the hill probably around noon that day. Did you ever make it into Paradise
Yes, I did.
during the fire?
Yeah, I did. I was, you know, kind of talking with other reporters, talking with, you know, people on the phone, kind of fulfilling that PIO role at the time, being in the field PIO. But I was contacted by one of our chiefs because one of our communication operators had a home in Paradise. And while she's trying to do her job, which she did exceptionally well, she also knew in the back of her mind her house was in Paradise.
Right.
So he goes, is there any way you can go up there and check?
Yeah.
And I did. And because of the devastation, I was blown away that her house was still there. And actually, you know, I'll just tell the story.
Yeah.
Walked around the house, and one of the vents that, because she had a crawl space under her house, was smoking.
Okay.
I was like, I can't cuss, but I said some words, and I was like, holy smokes.
Right.
And no water pressure.
Okay.
I used my fire extinguisher, but it's still, I took my axe out, was able to pull away the stucco and the siding, and was able to find water bottles, Gatorades. I think I used vinegar at one point. Car wash, was able to stop it. So her house survived.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess by chance that I showed up when it was just smoldering right there, because we know what would have happened in the next hour or two.
So, I mean, was it just one little ember you think that got into the crawl space?
Probably
Something
found
just
a point
small.
that it could, And
People always wonder how it's, again, fire behavior is so bizarre,
Yes.
like how certain houses get skipped, and it's just luck.
There's a luck component too,
Yeah.
and now I got to get a little bit official, is that, you know, why we beat into the heads of our community to have defensible space and do all these things that we ask them to do. It's not because it's going to completely save your house, but it gives the opportunity to save it.
Right.
And when our resources go in and find a house that has good clearance, good access, maybe a water source, all these things we talk about, our people are going to engage in trying to protect that structure.
Right. Do you think that there's, okay, because I talk about this with my husband all the time, we'd love to live in a more rural area. I want to have horses. He likes the idea of getting to sit out and like look at wildlife and deer or whatever. But of course, we're terrified about that idea. Is there some way to build a castle out of just brick only, or because metal's gonna melt, right? your interior, if it gets hot enough, a fire like
Sure.
the campfire, it doesn't matter if the whole exterior is totally fireproof. Things inside could potentially melt, or is there a way to build if money is no object,
Right.
which it never is no object, but
Right.
yeah, could you do it? Can it be done?
Sure. I mean, if you want a cinder block wall with no
Yeah.
windows and a
Oh,
metal
windows,
roof.
that's right. Yeah, that would.
I mean, but the state of California, in conjunction with builders and all kinds of different entities, have made serious strides to protect and building construction and
Yeah.
all that. Because, you know, to harper back to the park fire, you know, I had friends up the hill. I thought for sure their house was going to be gone.
Yeah.
And they had a pool house that kind of sat on the edge of the canyon. And I was blown away it was there. But they had, you know, 3-pane windows.
Oh.
The outside pane was cracked, but it kind of protected that radiant heat or something to get in there.
Interesting.
So building construction is really on par with
Right.
giving your house the best chance. To answer your question, I'm sure there is, but you're going to give up a lot.
Right, give up a lot, and
Yeah.
it's probably really expensive.
It could be. I
Potentially.
don't know, but it
Yeah.
probably could be.
Right. Yeah, I was always just kind of surprised because I know that when Paradise was rebuilding, the town council passed some ordinances to make new homes more fire safe. And then a lot of people complained, well, that's more expensive to build under those standards. And then even despite the new standards, I saw houses going up that, I mean, they're just wooden stick structures, which just to me seems like, can't
Right.
we use steel or something?
Well, you know, economics probably.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to, because I work in the town of Paradise right now, and there were a couple homes up there that had metal or aluminum framing inside. So, you know, people are taking steps. I think it comes down to a cost factor, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there's one house that stands out to me on Skyway. You drive up Skyway, and it looks like it's cement siding and a metal roof, no gutters. I'm not here from a department standpoint or a building standpoint,
Right.
but gutters are one of the big ones because that collects so much debris.
Right.
So I drive by that house all the time. It was there previous to the campfire, but it looks like they probably invested in giving their
Right.
house the best chance.
And that's a good reminder to my husband to clean the gutters.
Well, you're right.
Yeah, it gets gross.
Oh, it does. But
Yeah.
what I harp back to is even if you did it the night before the campfire, the wind and the needle cast when that fire was approaching would have deposited.
Right, it's catching more.
Yeah, it would have deposited potentially right back in your gutters or the canyons of your roof.
Yeah.
And giving that fire a place to find a point of origin, unfortunately.
Okay.
But like I said, if you do everything you can to give your house the best chance, that's what we're asking.
Yeah. Okay. So in California, we use fire retardant, which is life-saving in so many cases, property-saving. But it's a little bit controversial these days. And I'm just kind of curious from your standpoint as a firefighter in general, with your career field having such a high cancer risk, what are your thoughts about the use of it and other, you know, the PFAS on the gear
Yeah.
that you wear? I mean, do you think is it worth it? How do you feel about it?
Well, at least from the PFAS standpoint, you know, the department, along with the labor organization and other organizations and departments in the state, have really pushed for PFAS-free turnouts. I just got a brand new pair the other day.
Oh, so they make them now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
great.
So they've kind of removed that PFAS component.
What do they use instead? Did they tell you much? Some new thing.
I'm at the point where I just get turnouts. I'm like, oh, new
Okay.
turnouts, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're using in lieu of the PFAS.
Okay.
Back to the retardant, are you talking about airplane retardant versus something the homeowners can use?
No, the stuff that, say, the state uses, the stuff that the airplanes drop, and that something that I had heard when I was doing a story about PFAS with Cal Water and their wells was
Sure.
that the theory was that it gets during a wildfire that it gets in. You know, washes away from the rain into the waterways, it gets into the groundwater, gets into the wells, and that's why Cal Water's wells are full of PFAS. I don't know if Cal Fire or even just John Gaddie, the person who drinks water, has any thoughts about that?
I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked at the airbase multiple times through my career. We have those guys around that stuff all the time. I don't know the MSDS with regards to it or where it stands right now, but I know that the retardant is always evolving with regards to effectiveness, not only from a fire standpoint, but from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
And I can ensure that, you know, our air tanker pilots and our air attack supervision modules that are up there are very cognizant of bodies of water and things like that. And so they do everything in their power to avoid those. And other than that, I'm not really sure where the retardant lies on, you know, affecting wells or any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's cool to hear about the turnouts because they're always coming up with new things. It's like that's just human nature. It's like we create things, we see problems, and then we find solutions to that, and then we see a new problem. And so, as long as I think people are aware about it, and you know, we'll come up with better and better formulations.
I think that's the great thing about, I'll just say it, about America is that unfortunately tragedy leads to ingenuity and trying to prevent things from happening again. Like I brought up building construction. When we have these devastating fires in these urban areas, you know, can we look at building construction? Can we look at setbacks? Can we look at all this stuff?
Yeah.
And that stuff happens. And when it comes to firefighting too, you know, the cancer rate, you know, I don't want to say it's astronomical, but it's still a part of what we do and affects, I find out almost weekly about men and women, unfortunately, that are coming down with cancer.
Yeah.
And I think the department, along with labor organizations and everybody else, is making a real valiant effort at declaring war on cancer.
Yeah.
Brian Rice, the California Professional Firefighters president, has said that. We're declaring war on cancer.
Yeah.
And so that branches out to look at, you know, how our firefighters are affected in the wildland smoke, how they're affected in structure fire gear, because we are exposed to an enormous amount of bad stuff. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And so how can we protect ourselves better?
When you were younger and you decided this was a career,
Right.
back in the day,
Yeah.
did you think about these kind of potential health risks?
No. Well, I mean, yes and no, because when I went through the Butte Fire Academy, it was about living a healthy lifestyle, eating, exercising. We knew about cancer, but at the time also, you know, you'd go mop up a structure fire and not have your breathing apparatus on. You know, I wish I could go back in time and do that because of all the chemicals and everything that's off-gassing, even though the fire's out. I mean, the vapors and everything, and going back to the station and having your turnouts dirty. I mean, right now, almost all our stations have extractors to have your turnouts cleaned.
Yeah.
We're trying our best to get everybody issued 2 sets of turnouts. So when you put those ones away, you're still able to respond with a clean set of turnouts. So from when I started to now, we've really evolved and cognizant of what we're exposed to.
Do you think that there's maybe even a culture, especially with some of the brand new or younger guys, this like sort of macho mentality of like PPE is kind of lame and like, just like, don't overthink it, don't overstress it?
I think when I started, yes.
Yeah.
There was kind of a stigma that you wanted to, you saw it from some East Coast firefighters and firefighters across, you know, that they had the black helmet and their gear was dirty and they were working and you're like, yeah. And, you know, you're working with your fellow guys and you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, I think the younger generation that's coming into our ranks is much more cognizant of that and being physically fit and eating correctly. They're much more in tune with it. And I think passing on what I've learned is like, hey, man, put it on. You know, that stuff will stay in your body for the next 30 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So
now you're a battalion chief, which sometimes probably involves a little bit more time behind a desk, right, than when you first got going. But when you first started, how did you get into firefighting? Where were you with at first?
So like you, I grew up in Southern California. Back in the, I'm going to date myself, back in the late 70s or, mid to late 70s on primetime NBC, there was a show called Emergency with Johnny Gage and Roy DeSoto. You can actually see it. I think we have Fubo at home. You can see it. You can pull it up. To me, it was very realistic in comparison and contrast to some of the shows that we have now. They still had some goofy little antics.
Right.
But what you saw was very, very realistic. And that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, there was smoke down to almost to the ground when they went into a structure fire. They had their breathing apparatus on. They were dealing with real life type emergencies that LA County Fire had.
Okay.
And so I had that. Watched it with my brother every night. Kind of went by the wayside. No family history in firefighting. Came to Chico. Drove out to Butte College one day during my first semester, and what are those guys doing? And there were a bunch of guys in yellow turnouts, and there was a tower and all. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, fire science program. Went and talked to Larry Tavani, who was a Paradise captain. Here's what I would encourage you to do, John. So I went through the fire science program, went through the Butte Fire Academy. Rest is history. So
the show you were watching, though, that was municipal, like city fire,
right? Right. It was LA County Fire Department.
Right.
It was based on, they just started their paramedic program, because there were the fire service has evolved over the years from just fighting fire. So LA County was providing paramedic service or field paramedic pre-hospital service. So they based a television show off that. I encourage you to pull up a show.
I will check it out. But so it's funny because now when I think about Chico City Fire, I think about like guys who, I don't know how many house fires there are in Chico a year, but it doesn't seem like very many compared to how often they probably go on medical calls.
Sure.
But did you go straight to CAL FIRE?
I interned for a year at the City of Oroville Fire Department.
Okay.
Then I went to CAL FIRE for 2 years. And then I got hired with the City of Oroville full-time in 1999.
Okay, so you did your share of city fire, house fires, heart attacks, cats in trees.
Yes.
Real, actual cats in trees?
Yes.
How many? Countless?
Well, no, a couple, but one, and I'd have to go up in my attic. There's pictures of me on the ladder truck at the City of Oroville getting a kitty cat out of the tree.
Yeah.
And then the lady wrote a very nice letter to the editor.
Yeah.
And I have that still there.
Did they teach you about this at the fire academy?
No.
No. Because I've heard the theory, right, that cats can climb up, but they can't go backward?
Have you ever seen a cat skeleton in a tree?
No.
There you go.
Yeah, right. They'd figure it out.
But to me, it's a call for service.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of times it's a kid.
Yeah.
That's their worst day. Kitty's up in the tree.
Right.
And if we can do anything we can to get that kitty out of the tree, that's my opinion. It's a service call for the public. If we have nothing major going on, we will do everything we can to try to get that kitty cat out of the tree.
So people will call 911 for sometimes very bizarre, trivial things. Do you remember any calls that were just kind of like, God, do you have to respond to them?
We have a duty to respond.
Okay.
Well, it depends. I mean, I'm trying to think of any bizarre calls without getting in trouble.
Right.
Because there were some bizarre calls with people. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe give me a second and it'll pop into my head.
I'm sure there are a lot of like mental health related ones where, it's probably not needed in a physical sense, but obviously there is some sort of crisis for someone.
Sure.
But I'm sure there are also people who would I'm just going to call 911 because I can't figure this out, and it's probably just above and beyond really what's needed.
Yeah, and we will try to talk them through it, or we'll try to talk them, do you want an engine to come out and help you? I firmly believe that that's what we're about, is way beyond the fire and the medical and the rescues and the TCs and the hazmats, that we're here to serve you.
Yeah.
And if someone's having a bad day or something's not working, their garden hose won't shut off. I mean, we're not going to go code 3, and we usually tell them on the phone, hey, if an emergency happens, we got to break away, but we'll go help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not imploring the public to call for all the times, but usually we get, unfortunately, it's probably usually an older person or something along those lines, that those people need a little bit of extra help, and we're there to help them.
I have the opposite problem. So a few weeks ago, I was at home and I had an appointment. I had to be somewhere in 10 minutes. And my laundry room is on the way to my garage, essentially. So I'm walking through, I open the laundry room door, and I smell smoke.
Yeah.
And my dryer's going. So first thing I do, of course, is open the dryer and turn it off, and a little bit of smoke came out. Nobody else was home. My husband was out of the area.
Sure.
And my reaction wasn't call 911. It was like, I got to figure this out, right? And so I unplugged the dryer, and I pretty much figured out it was the motor of the dryer, and it wasn't in the walls or anything. But like, the idea of calling 911 was so scary. Like, oh, I don't want to bug them, and what if they started axing down my wall or something? But I mean, if there's a fire in there,
Right. Right.
And then also, it was funny. My husband when I called him, he said, "Well, they might charge you.
No.
You don't get charged for
No.
Yeah,
You pay taxes.
It's a city service.
You pay taxes.
Right. Yeah. Next time.
But
I have a dryer fire.
But we do have those.
Yeah.
And you don't know if it extended into the wall or any of
Right.
that. And we can, at least at CAL FIRE Butte County Fire Week, we have, like I've said before, I don't know to you, but probably some of your counterparts, is that we have captains in there that can make those decisions. Like, they can pick up the phone, you know, maybe your exact scenario. Hey, we'll just send one engine out.
Right.
Instead of a full structure, code
Right.
3, hot to trot response, we'll just send an engine out to check it out. And and that's kind of what I mean talking earlier, is that, yeah, we'll come check it out.
Yeah.
And see what we can do.
Okay. So after the city, you became a wildland firefighter, essentially, right?
No.
No. Okay.
And yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, the problem is CAL FIRE, CDF has evolved so much.
Yeah.
So much. Even back then, Butte unit was a very progressive unit in all risk. I understand what you're saying, a wildland firefighter, because that was kind of the firefighter one job at that time, was
Right.
to be part of the state wildland response, but we still responded to medicals even back in 97, 98.
Okay.
So yes, that's kind of what I did for a couple of years.
Did you ever really get sent out where it was like, okay, over summer, I know I'm just going to be on different fires in the area?
And that's what I mean, is it's
Not really,
evolved
yeah.
so much. Back then, our seasonal workforce, or our firefighter one workforce, and I'll just speak for me specifically, you got kind of picked up in June and you were laid off in October.
Okay. Yeah.
Peak season, obviously, that was, back then was determined to be fire season.
Right.
Now we have fire season year round, Eaton Palisades
Yeah.
in January. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you'd work 4 or 5 months out of the year. Now our firefighter ones are 9 months period and stop, and hopefully if the legislature does anything, they'll make those guys and gals year round.
Yeah. Right.
I'm
I
hopeful.
mean, there isn't a fire season. It's so
Oh,
funny
yeah.
when I hear people say fire season is here
No.
because, yeah.
It's year round,
it
and
never
I'll
left.
tell people that I think that now the really slow months are like around March-ish, because even when I was growing up in LA, we had a fire mid-December that ran us out of our house where we lived down there. So
Yeah.
it's year round now.
Right. So for you, throughout the course of your career, when was the time where you were the most like hands-on, actually fighting fire? And what tool did you use that you liked the most? Like, were you ever cutting lines? Were you ever using a hose? What did you do? What did you actually do?
So since I was an intern at the City of Orville Fire Department, a more municipal setting, went to CAL FIRE as a seasonal firefighter for a couple years. Then went to the City of Orville, municipal again.
Yeah.
So my favorite tool is a hose line with water.
Okay.
Not taking away what our hand crews do. They
Right.
do an enormous amount of work. It's real tough work, but that's where I'm the most comfortable.
Yeah. Now, I know they send water tender trucks out to these big wildland fires, but it doesn't seem like that would make much of a dent at all, that it mostly would just come from tankers, from airplanes.
Well, the airplanes are there to support. They are not the ones that completely contain and control a fire.
Right.
Their job is to slow the progression down,
Yeah.
and then have our ground troops come in, whether that's engines, dozers, and hand crews, and build line around that fire.
Right.
They're giving that chance for those crews to get in there, suppress that fire on the lines, build line around it, and contain and control that fire.
Right. And then focusing on protecting homes that could
Sure.
potentially be in the path. That
Right.
sort of thing.
I mean, not that fire service is a perfect world by any stretch, but, you know, yes, our job is life first and foremost, and then property.
Right.
And unfortunately, you know, the campfire and some of these other large fires, and I don't want to speak for the resources that were at the Eaton or Palisades, is that you're trying to get people out. That's our number one priority. And I think somewhat, unfortunately, we lost people in the campfire, but our resources were successful. We evacuated, what, 20, 25,000 plus or minus?
Yeah. In
I mean,
hours, just hours.
And to me, that's where the success metric is, because our resources were just trying to get those people out. Now, in like I said, a perfect firefighting world, people would already be out of their homes for the most part. Then we can really engage in structure protection.
Right. So in our more rural communities, I think oftentimes we hear about, at worst, cartels, at best, people who maybe they just are doing stuff where they don't really like to engage with people, especially not law enforcement. Have you ever come across anything where it's like you want to check and make sure somebody's evacuated and left, but you're afraid for your own safety?
Well, I mean, you're right. In our rural communities all throughout the North St., probably California, there are people that don't want to be talked to, don't want to be engaged, and maybe are doing some nefarious activities. And we're cognizant of that, not only with our law enforcement partners, but, you know, usually people are aware, especially in our Butte County area. We kind of have an understanding of where some of that might be happening, but I've also come across people who stay because they want to protect their house.
Yeah.
And I met someone during the campfire. He goes, this is my third, fourth, fifth time having a fire come through, and I'm staying. And we don't encourage that by any stretch, but, you know, I think he had some sort of understanding of what fire does in his community and what he needs to do to protect his house and his neighbor's house.
So you're not going to beg and plead and push and say, you know, it's just, hey, okay, as long as you have the education to understand that this is not advised that you be here, that's really all you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we try to say, because we've run into certain times where we go, please evacuate your house.
Yeah.
We encourage you, because this is the time to go.
Yeah.
And then it gets to that point, and then they want to get out. And you're like, okay, we will. And we're still going to help you get out, but that's why we really preach about when the evacuation warnings and all that stuff happens, take it very seriously, because now you guys are unfortunately out of the way, and we can engage in that structured defense and trying to protect people's properties.
Yeah. Did you ever have times when you were just like away in more like wooded areas for longer stretches of time, when you were away from your family and just eating those weird prepackaged meals and all that fun stuff?
Ishy rats, MRTs, brown bag lunches. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ishy rats, tell me about that.
So Ishy is a camp that is in CAL FIRE. It's a conservation camp. And a lot of our conservation camps have specialties, like some do screen printing, some do woodwork, some do... Ishy at one point, I don't know if they still do it, would do what are called Ishy rations.
Okay.
And so it was a box, and it had some, you know, canned fruit in it, had some dried goods and everything, and that's what their little specialty was to have.
Okay.
So if you didn't have warm meals or brown bag lunches or any of that, you could open that Ishy rat, have some beef jerky and a fruit cup.
I've heard it's not bad, the food out there.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Maybe if you're just, like, everything tastes really good when you're really hungry.
Yes, beggars can't be choosers. If you're hungry, and sometimes when you're engaged in that firefight, you know, you're there, and especially during the park fire and some of our other fires, is that resources, you're there 36, 48 hours until we get people engaged. And especially with a large moving fire, because even though the fire went through my neighborhood in Cohasset, it was moving towards Paynes Creek, it was moving to the north, so unfortunately we're starting to send resources up there, but these resources back here who are still dealing with some things, and when it started moving on Forest Ranch, that they could be potentially there for more than 24 hours.
Right, okay. Have you seen interesting wildlife behavior around fires, like just the way that, I mean, deer or mountain lions or anything that's just a little out of the ordinary? Because the animals, it seems like they know what's going on.
Know.
Yeah.
The two things. One, when the fire did impact our neighborhood, the really bizarre, it was like straight out of biblical, the grasshoppers.
Oh.
were coming through my yard because the fire was pushing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. That really got, I was like,
That's
this
weird.
is,
I got chills from
yeah,
that.
this is biblical. Because, and they,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what happened to them,
Yeah.
but they know. But the thing that is remarkable to me is that the next morning when kind of the fire came through my neighborhood, birds are chirping. Squirrels are out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I mean, it was kind of refreshing because they know.
Right.
You know, humans, yes, it's a tragedy, but they get back to work.
Well, right, and
They
that's-
got to go get their nuts and they got to go
Yes.
pick stuff up and do all this stuff.
And they didn't spend half of their life building that perfect little
Sure.
nest, that's the only nest and where they keep all
Yeah.
their nuts. It's like,
Yeah.
no, they just live wherever.
It's just,
And-
it's
yeah.
bizarre to see how quickly nature rebounded.
Right.
I mean, less than 12 hours
Yeah.
and they're back.
Yeah. And we're very, we're very sentimental.
Absolutely.
We pour
They-
everything into our space.
Sure, and there's
So,
nothing wrong with that. People
Yeah.
losing their possessions in their house,
Right.
absolutely, it was tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to you, I think, that morning, you know, because no offense to one of your reporters, but they really wanted to engage me about what happened. And I said, I'm just not comfortable yet.
Yeah.
Because my neighbors had lost some of their residences.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So back to being in the more like wildland
Sure.
sort of area. Have you ever seen anything that made you think that potentially there are Bigfoot out there?
No,
No?
no.
What about
Hate to break that to you.
chupacabras?
No.
Nothing. No
And I'm going to tell
cryptids.
you, well, chupacabras, but Bigfoot, a certain chief who retired said, every animal that's in the forest
Yeah.
is a scavenger,
Okay.
especially like bears.
Yeah.
And what do bears go through? Garbage.
Okay.
And you mean to tell me that if there's Bigfoot, they haven't gone through a garbage can somewhere?
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a good point.
Just even for sheer curiosity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
nothing out there that has been inexplainable or inexplicable or out of the ordinary.
No.
Okay. What about a mountain lion sighting though?
during a fire or not during a fire?
Anytime.
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
Daylight or just right?
Caught it on my camera near my chicken coop.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it was on your property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big one.
It's they're so beautiful. I've never
they
seen
are.
one in real life, and I think that there are more out there, and not so far. Upper Bidwell Park, I'm sure.
They have big territory.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
But I mean, hey, I guess it's not that big of a threat since I don't know a single person who's ever seen one in broad daylight just strolling down the path.
Yeah. I hear it
So-
from my wife all the time.
Are you worried about the wolves kind of making their way all across the state?
No.
Yeah.
Even though I read the article this morning.
Which one? Or the latest one?
Up in Sierra County.
Okay.
Sierra County?
Well, CDFW is doing more.
Yeah, they have
something, I
like
think.
well, it piqued my interest because it said CDFW strike team.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Strike team, yeah.
And so I read it and I was
Right.
like, it's trying to find that balance.
I think that, they're just trying to listen to the ranchers
Sure.
who are worried. Yeah.
Sure, people have their livelihoods. I understand that, but
Right.
it's trying to find balance.
Right.
We got to find our balance with nature because we keep encroaching on it. I hear
Right.
it from my wife all the time. We're in their home. And I go, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. What do you think about the grizzly bear initiative? Have you heard about this
No,
one?
they want to bring grizzlies back.
There's a group working on it. Yeah, they want to bring grizzlies back to California, arguing, well, that's the natural ecosystem and that it could be good for, I don't know. I don't know what it would
if
be
I
good
could
for.
take
I'd be
my,
afraid.
If I could take my shirt off and not be in an official capacity, I might give my opinion. But
Yeah.
maybe I can put it this way: is that humans have interfered, and to whether right, wrong, or indifferent, have gone down certain
Yeah.
Opinions about what's going on in the world. Why are we going to get involved to try to fix it?
Yeah. We like to manipulate things.
Exactly. So I think the intentions are good with everybody that they try to do. And same with the grizzly bear. I think the intentions are good.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. That's all.
In line with that thinking, what if we had this landscape of humanity, especially in fire-prone places like California someday, where we all just have RVs? You'd be out of a job maybe.
Oh, so you
If-
could just pack your stuff and leave?
Right, just like when we talk about nature, right?
Sure.
How the birds are chirping the next day because they just picked up and moved,
Right, right.
And it's like a lot of times when we talk about forest management, and there's so many different theories, we
yeah.
need to do more, rake the forest or
Yeah.
more control burns, or the Forest Service just let it burn because that's what it normally would do.
Right.
And I think it all just comes down to we're really protecting what we've built.
Sure.
And if we could all just, City Hall on wheels, Maybe we just,
You might be onto something.
You could retire.
I don't think, well, job security is too good in my field.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of job security.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wildland fires could go away tomorrow, but still house fires, still traffic collisions, still hazmat, still water rescues, everything. Still getting cats out of trees.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, no matter what AI does, that human element is always going to be wanted. Because like what you talked about before, how a lot of times it's not really that the firefighters have a super tall ladder that's so special. It's more so that, hey, somebody cares in my moment of crisis.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
shows up. Having said that, though, there is some really cool new innovation with AI that probably could help. I mean, even just for house fires, maybe like situations where humans would be exposed to dangerous situations where they no longer have to be, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think AI is really going to manifest itself in the wildland community. I've heard certain things that, okay, because we already have it. It's not necessarily AI. We have to input the data about how big a fire is going to grow, if there's no suppression, where it's going to be in 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, 6 hours. So we have that. But I think what's going to happen is AI component's going to take all this information and say, okay, this fire is going to grow. Here's how many people you need to evacuate. Here's how many resources potentially you need to order to suppress this fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to really manifest, and I think it's going to become a valuable tool for what we do in the fire service, especially in that component. Structure fires, I don't know yet, but the wildland component, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. In all of CAL FIRE Butte County, who is the best firefighter?
Oh, I'm not going to comment on that.
Who's the best cook?
Oh, we have an enormous amount of good cooks.
Okay.
Enormous amount of good cooks.
Yeah.
I always took pride in cooking. That was one of my selling points during interviews. Is that I got my cooking merit badge as a Boy Scout. I can cook.
I know it's important.
Oh, it's very important,
My cousin got a job at Ventura City Fire, and that was one of his selling points. He's a fantastic cook, and so everybody now wants him at their station.
Right.
Yeah.
Best firefighter, I'd like to take I'm not even going to say it. Oh. From the right stuff, where, they interviewed that one guy and goes, you're looking at him, but that's not the case.
No.
There are so many counterparts that have so many attributes that, I've looked up to in my career. So it's definitely not this guy.
Yeah.
I try to do the best job I can, but there are some good firefighters out there.
Would you say at the beginning of your work week, I know for you it's not always on Monday morning because it shifts, but I mean, do you look forward to going to work?
There's times I do look forward to going to work. I think I'm getting towards, to take a line from Ronald Reagan, I'm getting to the sunset of my career.
Yeah.
I enjoy, and the guys I know who have retired, the camaraderie. I caught myself at the station kitchen table yesterday, just, hanging with the guys and gals and, talking business a little bit and just talking shop.
Yeah.
And that's the part I'm probably going to miss, is that social aspect. And just to dovetail, my wife's going to hate me for this, but our social interaction and our social quote unquote collateral is so expelled at work. For good, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but when we come home, we want peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we do have friends outside of work, and my brother lives here, and just our social component is that we just want to decompress ourselves.
Yeah.
We do live out in nature and just have time for ourselves and have some quiet.
That so resonates with me, and that's how I feel. I mean, I love my husband, and I don't consider him as me, social energy with him, because it's just, your other half. But I certainly don't want to go to a party with him on Saturday night or whatever it is. I just want to chill. Because I love what I do, and I love my work family here. But it is a lot of conversation and engaging with other people.
Yeah.
And you have to have balance in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, that's why we ended up out where we do, because we used to live in Chico proper. And, when we were looking for a house, we said, what are you looking for? I said, P&Q.
Yeah.
What's that? Peace and quiet.
Yep.
And I remembered that house we live at currently. We walked around the side and I heard the creak and I went, sold.
Yeah.
And they said, well, don't you want to see the inside? I said, I don't care.
Right.
I said, this is perfect.
So being as expert as you are, and especially after the park fire, is your house just like this crazy? Do you have sprinklers on the roofs?
No.
And no?
Not yet.
Yeah. but well irrigated.
Well, we got to get our roof replaced, so there
Okay.
might be something, but the pitch is too much to. I did buy a fire pump though,
Okay. Yeah.
so I wish I had that a year ago.
Yeah.
But you know, I hadn't fought fire like that in a long time.
Yeah.
I do remember that. I remember at a certain point, it's probably about 12:30 in the morning, and I was like, my God, I haven't sucked this much smoke in a long time, and
Yeah.
it was exhausting running around my house and checking my neighbors' houses as best I could.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I've been engaged in something like that.
This is what I do when I'm here and we're in a breaking news
Mm-hmm.
crisis situation. All the emotions are like not, I just separate myself
Right.
emotionally, and it's just like this, it's almost like it's not real. It's the job, right?
Business.
Yeah, and until I'm done with my job, there's no way I'm having an emotional reaction.
Right.
And sometimes I almost feel like my coworkers here might think that I'm a little bit heartless or
Sure,
something, but it's just what I have to do because we deal with emergencies that directly impact our loved ones,
Right.
our community. Some people, I don't know. I guess, yeah. Do you kind of separate that way?
Absolutely, I'm in business mode.
Yeah.
And if you talk to my wife, she knows business mode.
Yeah.
And I was in business mode for the park fire. I was in business mode when my first daughter was born. She's the complete opposite. She is the more touchy-feely love and, you know, what do you call it? She's just like that.
Yeah,
She's,
yeah.
So the yin and yang is there. Sometimes I'm in business mode too much.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the coping mechanism, like you're saying, is
Right.
that, you know, this is business.
Yeah.
This is the business I chose. This is the career I chose, and I've been able to navigate those tragedies. And don't get me wrong, it affects when you're finally able and those endorphins and everything settles down. Yeah, I catch myself just in an emotional moment. I'll be honest.
Oh,
I mean, that's just how I am. I firmly believe in what Jim Valvano said, that you should take every day and immerse yourself in thought, have a good laugh, and cry. Have yourself driven to tears. And I firmly believe that, because that's a full day.
Yep.
You have had your whole emotions right
The whole
there.
range of human emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're all important, and they all have a time and a place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah,
All right.
I'm in business mode.
Well, John, we appreciate you so
Oh, no,
much.
don't-
Thank you for
no
being
kidding,
here.
it's over?
Yeah. Can
Wow.
you believe it? We've been talking for almost an hour.
Oh, no kidding.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.